Hello there, and welcome to What the Dog Podcast, where we talk about what your dog's doing, why they're doing it, and can we fix it? My name is Katie. I am the owner and trainer here at For Pete's Sake Dog Training, and on this podcast, like to answer your questions and concerns quickly and efficiently so we can all continue moving on to our busy lives and, hey, potentially go train our dogs. So sit back, relax. Maybe you're listening on the car ride. We'll have short, sweet, simple answers to your questions. Today, I want to talk about vet prep. And this is something that I personally feel like gets overlooked a lot. Lots of reasons why. But usually I have these questions pop up with my clients who have dogs who are fearful, maybe reactive, and not necessarily with all pet parents. And this really should be brought up with all pet parents. And you may be thinking, oh, my dog is very wiggly and excited at the vet, and maybe even overly excited at the vet, so I don't really think this is a problem. However, stress and anxiety can come out as looking like your dog is very excited and happy. They're just uncomfortable and they really don't know how to handle those emotions, and it can come out as overexcitement. So I do, suggest anyone taking some time and listening to this, whether you do have a fearful dog, a timid dog, a dog who you say we get along okay, you can tell it's not your dog's favorite, but they don't really do anything, quote, aggressive, or maybe, your dog is overly excited and all over the place at the vet. There are a lot of things we can do before, during, and after your vet visits and in between to really help out our dogs. So this is for everyone. Now, when you think about vet visits and why most dogs, quote, tolerate them, or maybe you just don't have the best time, it makes sense because things are happening to their body that is pretty invasive. In the past, it has been get in there, do what you need to do and get it done, and don't really care about the dog's emotional state for those. And as many of you, if you've listened to my podcast before, you realize that I am someone who is all about the emotional state of a dog. And I don't believe that dogs should do what I say when I say just because I say so, and should have to tolerate everything thrown at them. So they are animals and they are living in a human world, and a lot of the things that we put them through is not normal for dogs and for animals. We expect them to handle it normally, though. So we're going to dive into it. When at the vet, again, it can be stressful to most animals because it's very invasive. There's a lot of smells that are also going all around in the vet clinic between different animals, cats, dogs, maybe small mammals, things like that, but also a lot of stress sent from those animals. And maybe there are animals in the back half of the vet clinic who are there for surgery procedures, making lots of noises. And so there's not only the past experience of the vet of being invasive, but also the current environment of the vet can also be stressful for our dogs. So there are a lot of things, like I said, we can do before, during, after, and in between our vet visits. The first thing I always recommend to any pet parent is to do happy visits or no poke visits, victory visits. I've heard a lot of different names for these. And these visits are simply to bring your dog, even just around the outside of the building to start. You pull into the parking lot, you get out, you sniff around the grassy area, and you're there for maybe 3 to 5 minutes and you leave, right? Anything going in your vet clinic, I would definitely talk to the staff and make sure it'd be okay if you did. Most of the time, if it's pretty minimal, they are good with it. There are some vet clinics, and I actually had a vet clinic in Kansas who would schedule no poke visits. And so we would actually have a scheduled date and time that we would come in, act like it was a visit or a normal vet appointment. And whoever was available staff-wise would just come and say hi to my dog and then leave. And then I would leave. So these started pretty short, and then we worked our way up to a little bit longer visits and even, practicing some basic care of, thermometers, stethoscopes, getting on and off the scale, things that would happen in a normal vet visit. We would lead up to that. So getting your dog just to equivalate that the vet equals good things or happy things is going to be step one, but also keeping in mind that we want it to be at least somewhat similar to vet visits. We don't want it to look completely different for these fun visits than what a normal vet visit is, because that higher stress of a normal vet visit could take us a lot of steps back. So it is nice to also throw in some of those things of, we're just going to come, sniff around, get on the scale and leave, or go into an exam room and sniff around and leave. So pretty similar. You may just leave out some of those steps and gradually add them on over time. So that's one of my ultimate favorite ways that is usually fairly easy for pet parents to do. Even if you did that once a month, twice a month, that'd be great. So, and that's what I did with my dog is I went about once a month. I'd schedule a no poke visit about once a month, and we do wonderful at the vet. He is trained to wear a basket muzzle for some of his reactivity, but now at the vet, we don't need it. I bring it just in case. That's more of the technicians and staff, if they would feel better having it on him. But he is huge improvements from when he first went to the vet. So 9 times out of 10, we don't actually need it, which is exciting. And that's because of all the work we've done for it. There's also work we do at home before or in between vet visits of teaching him behaviors that would help us in the vet visit. So I have a hand touch behavior that can help me move his body around in different ways. I have a chin rest behavior that he can kind of station and hold his chin in my hand, and the rest of his body stays still. And we use that when he's getting poked with vaccines or when they're listening to his heart rate or his breathing respiratory rate. So we use that chin station rest. I also have a muzzle hold I've been working on for jugular blood draws. So he can, instead of the technicians having to force his head up and be held in a uncomfortable way, it is more of a behavior for him. And so he's opting in to that behavior. That is important for a lot of dogs. I would say majority of dogs do tolerate those procedures, but the issue we come across is that for most dogs who tolerate it, they're giving us body language that's saying, I'm uncomfortable with this, and that body language keeps getting ignored. And so eventually you wonder when they get older, you say, oh, my dog's just grouchier now. And it's actually them responding a little bit more intensely because their past body language has been ignored. And they said, well, that, stiffening my body didn't work. So now I'm going to look away from the situation. Looking away didn't work. I'm going to lip lick. Lip licking doesn't work. I'm going to stress yawn. Stress yawn doesn't working. I'm going to show teeth. Showing teeth doesn't work. I'm going to now start growling. Growling doesn't work. Now I'm going to lunging and biting. And excuse me, the time between those steps varies per dog. My dog went from 1 to 100 really quickly in some of those aspects. So it really just depends on the dog, but that's usually what we're seeing in the vet world is that escalation over time. And it isn't just because your dog's older and getting, quote, grumpier. Could be that they're in more pain and discomfort, but again, a lot of the times it comes down to my past communication was ignored, and now I'm going to act upon it or try different communication to see if it won't be ignored this time. So working on some behaviors that could be helpful at the clinic. That hand touch I use to get my dog on the scale. The scales are kind of weird. They're cold. They might be a little slick. So there are things that we can do to make that experience feel like more of a training session than a vet visit, and that's the goal. We want our dogs to be happy, comfortable while at the vet, and it's not just us, it's also the vet staff who really want that too. They're interacting with cats and dogs on a daily basis, and they really want to go home without any injuries and want to make sure that your dog is also happy and healthy. And that the more stress your dog has at the vet clinic, the more health concerns that could actually be hidden or unknown. So a lot of the times when dogs are stressed, their general adrenaline has increased, which maybe they were limping at home and now they're not limping at the vet, or things that you want to get checked out, they're not able to get checked out and looked at properly because of your dog's stress level. So it's by far beneficial to not only your dog, but to you and the vet staff to be thinking about this as well. So there's something that you may hear come up a lot. I'm very pro, it's called cooperative care. And basically what this means is that your dog is opting in for the care that they're about to receive. So they are choosing to participate, right? And that's where a lot of this training can come into play. Think about nail trims. Nail trim is the one, like the biggest thing that I would say across the board, a lot of dogs are not super great with. And then maybe they tolerate it, but you can tell they don't like it. And that's something I'm working on with my dog. We've backtracked on nail trims some, and where we have a routine. When I grab the nail clippers, he rolls over and I usually clip a couple of his toenails, and then he gets a handful of treats right after it, right? By him rolling over, that's him saying, okay, we can do this. But there have been some times, like today, he actually walked away when I grabbed the clippers. So I was like, he doesn't want me to trim his nails today. And so I'm going to let him say no in that situation, because I have prepared him enough that I know there will be another time for me to be able to trim his nails later on. That day, he could have had some extra arthritis going on in his feet. So he said, I definitely don't want you touching my feet today. You never know the reason. So it is important for us to listen to our dogs when they say no, and then for us to say, okay, how can I help you say yes in the future and get them to that point? So we want them to be cooperative in their care and to opt in for that care to continue or to be applied to their bodies per se. So I know this is a new concept for a lot of people, but it is very important that we look at that. And maybe along down the road, you might get a dog who isn't as easily entertained at the vet and does a great job at the vet, or what we think does a great job at the vet. And you do get a dog that's a little bit more sensitive. Keeping this in mind is going to be very important. But even if you think your dog does great at the vet, this will even just give them above and beyond. And like I said, it's confusing with the body language dogs can give, because we think a dog is overly excited and happy, and really that can be stress signals, either fear, anxiety, or just general stress. We call that fidgeting. Or basically think about if you are a human who has a little anxiety or you are stressed, you may tap your foot, you may bite your nails, click a pen. You have, like, part of your body has to continue moving, and you're fidgeting, and that's why we have fidget toys. That is exactly what dogs will do too. And it may seem just we're this over exempliful or whatever dog, we're overexcited. And it actually is them being a little anxious about a situation. And that comes out a lot in the vet, right? You may think they don't bark at dogs unless they're at the vet clinic, or things might be slightly different because of that that environment. I feel like I have a sneeze in my nose, and so it's distracting me. Anyway, so generally, just to wrap it up, we can prepare our dogs before the vet. During the vet, I forgot to mention, during the vet, please bring treats with you, and bring a variety of treats. Dry milk bone type treats for most dogs aren't enough in high intense environments, so we need to think about a variety, because if a dog takes treats normally in a calm situation, and then you're like, yeah, they just won't take treats at the vet though. They take treats at home, but not at the vet. Your dog is too stressed to take treats, no matter what, like, their other body language is going. We take all of that into consideration, but I can tell you right now that your dog is not eating because of their emotional state, and it's stress, fear, anxiety, one of those three. So we have to acknowledge that. And sometimes it may be that a tastier, stinkier, cheesier treat they'll say, okay, I will eat for that. But that lower flavor, textured treat that I get all the time, not worth it, because when our dogs are in this mental state, a lot of the times their quote survivability is at risk in their brain, and eating isn't a top priority. That's why at a lot of vets you'll see them using squirty cheeses, peanut butters, different types of wet food, canned food, cat food with these pets when they're trying to get them to participate in the vet visits. So bring treats with you. I know a lot of people out there are in the mindset of why treats? It's so many treats. I can tell you that one vet visit out of however many months you go to the vet and your dog gets extra treats that day is not going to hurt your dog. Also, what's the downfall of bringing treats just because they're going to eat a lot of food? We have those days too. There's no downfall to bringing extra treats with you. And what I mean by extra, like a sandwich Ziploc baggie full. You can never have too many. Might as well have too many than too little. So variety, lots of treats, and you're going to be treating from the get-go continuously throughout your vet appointment, right? Because we want to teach them that there's a lot of things going on, a lot of smells that they are smelling, a lot of things they are seeing, a lot of noises that they are hearing. And then, like I said, plus we're very intrusive and invasive in their body. So it's not going to hurt anything by bringing treats with you. A lot of the times I have clients who are like, man, they just can't calm down at the vet, or they're just paying so much attention to other dogs. I'm like, bring a food puzzle, bring a stuffed Kong with you, bring a bully stick, oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, just give them something else to do, because all that energy, the new people, the new dogs, the cats at the vet, that's their TV, that's their, I don't want to say entertainment, but there's really nothing else for them to focus on. And we can't expect dogs to just, quote, deal with the environment and ignore everything if we haven't taught them to ignore everything, right? Just because we want them to ignore everything doesn't mean they'll automatically do it. So instead of me hoping they'll ignore everything, why don't I just keep them entertained? And I reference this a lot, but dogs are basically toddlers who don't speak English. So think about when you take a toddler to the doctor's office. Are you going to show up to the doctor's office without a single toy for that toddler? No, right? You don't expect your toddler to sit in a waiting chair for 20 minutes, quiet and calm. Dogs are the same way, no matter their age. Dogs are the same way. So let's keep them entertained. And honestly, that just builds the positivity and that connection between the vet and good things and fun things. You'll be surprised at how well your dog does if you just have things for them to keep them occupied during the vet visit. They'll do wonderful. So if I were to tell you like a quick fix on helping at the vet visit, top 2 things: go do happy, easy, non-poke visits and bring things for them to do, from treats to Kongs to chews to puzzles. It's great. You'll have a huge difference in your vet visits. So anyway, I won't keep you guys anymore. Get going on that day. If you want to learn on how you can train some of these behaviors for cooperative care, like the chin rest, the muzzle hold, things like that I have taught my dog, head over to my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/fur-Pete's-sake, F-U-R-Pete's-sake. I have a ton of training videos on there. I have feeding games on there that are free, webinars, podcasts, everything kind of headed over there. And in the text down below, I'll put that link as well. Otherwise, you can also head to my website, www.fur-Pete's-sake-training.com. FUR-Pete's-sake-training.com. You can reach out to me or just kind of go through my website, learning more information on what I have, but that is a great resource for you as well. So thank you all for taking the time to listen to me today. I hope I shed a little bit of light on the relationship between you and your dog, and I appreciate each and every one of my listeners, especially you. So thank you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.